Hey guys.
Howdy, I'm Mo.
And I'm Christine.
And this is the Remy's Digest. Welcome back or welcome to the channel. Hello. Today we're doing our May wrap up. So, we read some fun books. We may have DNF'd some.
We may have DNF'd some.
May not have just picked them up at all, exposing
ourselves.
So, yes, let's get right into all of our ratings.
Bum bum da 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 bum bum da.
So first, we are going to do the books that we gave each other. So if you don't know, we had a TBR last month and we picked four books for
mentally
each of
blocked
us.
out
I know.
the other book.
4 books for each of us to read, and here
for
we
each
go.
other to read. Yeah.
Yes. I picked the Ravens because she has been talking about how she wanted to read the Monarchs because we got that as an e-art. So I was like, well, you can't read it
without first reading the first book.
Yeah, and then I was reading it and then I got intrigued, so I decided to read it for myself as well.
I really like The Ravens. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Basically has 2 main lead characters. One is a freshman in college and one is a girl that's already in the sorority of the Ravens. And it kind of just follows, the initiation of that and the girl kind of finding out the tea on the Ravens and whether or not she wants to be one. It was really good, and the story has some twists and turns, and there was like a little romance aspect, which was cool. That's fine. Like, I wasn't into like the romance that like ended up being there, like, I'm glad that they're together. I'm into the romance of the other 2, and I don't want to say too much about it, but
well, I gave it 4 stars. I really loved the drama with the relationships, all the relationships, all sides of it. Because I'm like...
It was like a love triangle.
It was a love triangle, then it was kind of a rhombus, then it was just a line, So...
Yeah, it was really good. And if you're kind of put off about the sorority setting, it's not like that.
I think it's like they set it up that way and then you get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like what they're about.
So don't be afraid of it because of that.
But yeah, it was fun. I really liked it. I liked it so much. I'm reading The Monarchs this month. So my first one will be The Kiss Quotient. I gave this book 4 stars. I really loved it. It was so cute. Like, freaking Stella. I love Michael so much. Like,
yeah. This book is so cute. Oh, this book is so cute. I
only docked it because, like, the beginning kind of felt a little weird to me.
Yeah, that was the same reason why I docked it 1.
I don't know why. I was like, I don't know about this. But then, like, as soon as Michael came on the scene and met Stella, I was like, oh, I'm in love. But that's only the reason.
Yeah, but it's still a really great book.
Yeah, so if you don't know, this book is about Stella. She has Asperger's and she is trying to figure out the dating scene. Her parents have recently upped the pressure, aka her mom, actually both her parents, about, wanting her to start a family and, putting herself out there.
And I think she's like 30, right? Or she's about to be 30 or something.
Yeah, she's like 30.
Yeah.
She's like doing really well in her career. She's very well off, super smart. But dating is hard for her. So she got the idea to hire an escort, and it just all goes up. And that is The Kiss Quotient.
So
I liked it. 4 stars.
So the next book that I read that Monique picked out for me was Verity. Y'all, how do I even describe to you without like giving it away? Okay, at first I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Because I'm like trying to figure it out. I kept asking Monique, I'm like, what is this book about? Like, what is it about? Just tell me, because it's literally just a mystery. And then you're reading about this one writer, and oh my god, it's so good. But anyway, I gave it a 5 stars.
Yes!
Okay.
Woo!
Because
sorry.
Like, how could we not? Like, really, how could we not? Because the whole book is just pure masterpiece. You know what I mean? So basically it follows this young woman, a writer who has published a couple of books and is like, okay, successful, but hasn't really gotten her shot yet. So she ends up going to a meeting at her agent's office, and she gets an opportunity to continue a series for an author who has gotten in a really, really horrible accident, Verity. So she takes this opportunity to take on Verity's highly successful series, and also she gets a nice fat bonus for doing this. So she's got a lot of incentive. So she goes to live with them and she gets into Verity's office and kind of gets into Verity's mind, and it all goes cuckoo from there. So the whole time it was like a fun roller coaster ride. Like I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh, is it like paranormal? Like what's happening? Like because I kept going off the cover. I was like, is she dancing by a lake, like being like some kind of weird being?
Yeah, you had some left theories.
It's
I was
not
like, can you
as crazy as that.
Continue reading.
But y'all, it's so good, and the twists multiple.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
It was like so crazy too. I was like scared for my life as I was reading it. Anyway.
It was my first Colleen Hoover, and I felt like it should be yours.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Well then, since she's talking about thrillers, he recommended this sci-fi thriller to me. And
recommended. I just wanted her to read this. Tell me if I was wrong. Did you like it?
I did like it. I did not love the ending, and that is kind of a letdown because you're kind of invested in the story of this doctor and her clone, and you're kind of invested in like how things are going to turn out for them,
right? And
it's kind of polished. I don't like things too polished or too neat, wrapped up too neat.
Yeah, it seems like history repeating itself to me.
That too.
And I thought the whole point was not that, like I thought her whole thing as a character was to break out of that cycle. So
okay, good talk, good thought. I didn't think that too much. I was just like, oh, okay, but that makes sense. But yeah, so the end definitely did have I saw what it was going to be, but I don't know if that's how I wanted it to end.
Right,
so,
yeah. What'd you give it?
I gave it 3 stars.
Okay.
But I really did enjoy it. I think the science and everything about it was fun. I really like the characters, like some of her co-workers and everything. It was just going through all that just for the end. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if it was worth it for me.
Right.
So
the next book that I want to talk about that Monique ended up wanting me to read is The Passing Playbook, which we got sent by Penguin Teen. So thank you so much for sending that to us. This is an ARC. This actually came out June 1st of this month, yeah, because this is June that we're recording this. But it's basically about a young man who goes to a new school and joins the soccer team, and it turns out that he can't play because on his birth certificate it says female, and because of a rule in the school system, he technically cannot play on the boys team. So if you haven't already figured it out, he has to figure out if he wants to stand up for his rights or, sit on the sidelines and not play soccer. His one true love. So I really enjoyed this book. I had such a fun time with it, and there's like a little romance aspect to it. It's kind of, I wouldn't say I hate to love, but kind of like you annoy me, but like why do you annoy me? Oh, it's kind of because you're kind of cute. Okay. Yeah, I like you. That's kind of what the romance is like, and it's so cute. Obviously, it's set in high school. So I ended up giving this a 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I always love those soccer aspects. Like anything about soccer, like it's a fun game for me. And I just love the message of having to decide to stand up for yourself and be like your true, authentic self. And especially because of Pride this month, like these are the kind of stories we need to be reading. And I love this book so much.
To piggyback off that, Christine recommended that I read Felix Ever After, and y'all, it was so cute.
I stand Felix in this household.
So I think I gave this book 4 stars, 4.5. Excuse me. It's really just a great representation of just trying to figure out high school and figuring out yourself. And I think it's a great representation for the questioning part of the LGBTQ community. And yeah,
not quite sure knowing what your label is.
Yeah.
And do you need to be labeled? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I really, really love this book, and I recommend everyone read it.
And then the final book that Monique wanted me to read last month is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I ended up giving this book a 4 stars, and I can't tell if it's V.E. Schwab or what it is, but I did have a good time with this. I just wanted like a little bit more. I mean, I gave it 4 stars, you know what I mean? But I just wanted like a little bit more from this. Yeah. So basically it centers around a couple of points of view. There's Layla and then Kel and all these other like fun characters, but basically there are 3 different Londons, you know, white London, red London, and gray London. And because of something that happened a long time ago, there are these doors that go into these parallel Londons, but only people who are magical, like magicians, some could say, can use these doors and travel through the worlds. And yes, it's basically just about that without giving away too much. But this story, I just wanted like a little, I don't know how to explain it, but I just wanted a little bit more. So I'm hoping that maybe in the second book I get that. I am going to continue with it because I am interested, and it is written well, it's interesting. But you know what also might have been it for me is that I read part of it on audio and the narrator was not fun. He was not fun. Like for example, Kel, you think he's like a 20-year-old magician, right? You think he's gonna be like a hot voice, like you know what I mean? And the narrator is like an older English gentleman, and when he would give this man a voice, he'd be like, and I'm like, what? Because I had already started it like physically, so I was like, no.
I will pick this back up.
Yeah. So that might have also had something to do with it. I don't know. I'm gonna read the second one fully physically and not read the audio because what did I listen to? Do not recommend on audio. Do recommend physically. And that's all I have to say. I have nothing but high hopes for the second book, but we'll see.
And to close out for me, Christine gave me a B. Schwab book to read, or told me to read, because I bought this for myself a long time ago, and it is Vicious. And I was going to say 4 stars, but I just changed my mind. I'm giving it 5. I think I gave it a 4.5, and I was gonna just put it 4 on Goodreads, but I think I'm gonna
round up.
So I think it's a 4.5. But y'all, when I say I was screaming when I was reading this book, I was screaming.
Maybe I'll like this one. Like maybe I'll like this.
Yes, girl, because there are no good people. There's no good people in
See,
here.
that's why I'm like, I don't know.
There's nobody good here. I thought that maybe there was like, you know, like, I thought it was going to be like I thought it was going to be morally gray.
No. Just bad guys.
Bad guys, they are. And it is fun because it's kind of like...
Who's going to be the baddest?
Yeah, so just so I can give a quick overview. This book is about Victor and Eli. They're college roommates. They have to figure out a thesis for their project, and the thesis led to some experiments, and those experiments led to some accidents, and it just went all downhill from there. So I recommend that. This was a wild ride for me at 5 stars. I think I'm really liking V. Schwab. Her chapters, like the way she just segments, it's just, like chapters are like 1 page. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just really enjoy how she splits up things for the reader. So yes, I know.
Is it magical realism?
Yeah. Well,
or is it like just normal?
I think it's normal, but people have abilities, if that makes sense.
Okay. Next, we're going to get into our group reads and buddy reads. So we group read underneath the Sycamore tree with a bunch of other cool bookstagrammers, booktubers.
Yes, we read it for lupus awareness.
Get what I'm saying.
And I personally loved it.
Yeah. I give it a 4 stars as well. This follows our main character, Emery, who happens to have...
lupus.
Okay, I was like, wait, is that a spoiler? It's not. Who happens to have lupus, and unfortunately she had a twin sister who she lost to lupus, I think like 7 years before the beginning of the story, as well as her father like leaving the family once this happened. And so she kind of has just grown up with her mom and her grandmom until finally one day she just decides the grief from them is just too much and she needs to go live with her dad. So that's where the story picks up, and it's all about her kind of dealing with her lupus diagnosis, and she may fall in love. It may be kind of cute, kind of taboo, but it was a fun time. There are definitely trigger warnings in here, so if you guys need those, look that up before this book. But I mean, I had a good time with this.
Yeah, it was definitely a page turner.
Yeah, I read it all in a night.
Yeah.
It was really good. And if you're trying to understand more about chronic illness and how it feels for somebody who has it, then this would be a good recommendation for you.
So for book club, I had to read The Midnight Library. I think I ended up giving this 4.5 stars, and it follows our main character, Nora, who finds herself in the Midnight Library. And it gives you the, opportunity to see different paths in life, and because she's kind of unhappy with her life, she
gets to look into those different paths.
Yeah, and I'm telling y'all, it was very moving. It might not be for everyone because the vibe is kind of like
sad,
But I promise I liked how it worked out in the end, but some others didn't. So I would just look up the trigger warnings just in case you don't want to even start something like this. But I think it was fun. I just really like this author. I've never read anything by him, and
Meg.
yeah, so yes, recommend.
Yeah. Another buddy read that I did this past month is The Crown of Gilded Bones. Guys, I've been talking about this in the past couple videos. Y'all know how I feel about this. So I gave this book a 2.5 stars, and that is generous in my opinion. This basically is a carbon copy of Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Put that on wrap. It can be on my gravestone. This is literally just about Poppy and Hawk. They are finally in a new kingdom. I don't want to give too much away in case you are reading this series. It's a 2.5 for this reason, I'll tell you. So the smut in this book seemed, though they were new situations of smut, if that makes sense, it seemed repetitive and, you know, like the same thing. The way that the book is written, it's basically just plot dump, and then Poppy asking questions, and then Hawk saying, you know, we should really talk about this later. Like, if I had a freaking, like, dollar for every time he said that in this book, and in Kingdom of Flesh and Fire as well, this is a carbon copy of, then I would be a bagillionaire. And then, you know,
fun for that.
and then a little bit of smut. So, like I said about the past two books, like, do you read this for the plot? You might read this for the plot if you really want a plot dump situation, but I'm gonna tell you, nothing gets resolved. There are more questions about what's going on, and then the plot dumps that you get are repetitive throughout the book. And I found myself skimming. I almost DNF'd this, but I was buddy reading this with Jayla, and she actually finished it before me because I really put it down and was like not wanting to finish this book. Which is a shame because I do love Poppy and Hawk, but you know, and like Poppy as a character is so fun. Like, she's such a kick-ass main character. Like, she's amazing, but it's just, yeah, the writing style, I'm not vibing with it. So I'm not sure that I'm going to continue with the series, but maybe I will. I don't know. Will I buy it? I don't think so. Anyway, do with that recommendation what you will. I wasn't very impressed. And the other buddy read that I'm kind of lumping in with this one because it had similar smut vibes is A Touch of Darkness. This was one of my highly anticipated reads of last month just because it's a Hades and Persephone retelling. And I don't know if y'all know this. I've said it before, but Hades and Persephone, my OGs. Ooh! I love them so much. So when you have a Hades and Persephone retelling, like, my expectations are gonna be that it's like a knockout. Yeah, and I actually did end up rating this half a star higher than A Crown of Gilded Bones, and that is just probably because this is exactly how long A Crown of Gilded Bones should be. Anyway, so this follows a Hades and Persephone retelling. Basically, Persephone is trying to be like an up-and-coming writer in the world, and Hades is like this bad boy nightclub owner.
Oh.
This is a alternate universe where like the gods live in the world, but like they're kind of like celebrities low-key, and you don't really see them unless they decide to be around you, if that makes sense. So like Hades owns a club, but like no one ever sees him.
That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I liked it. The reason why it's a 3-star, and you guys are, you know, on the edge of your seat for this, I'm sure, but the smut was a little like, it was like we would be driving along on the road, right? And we'd be doing good with the plot. It'd be fine. And then all of a sudden it's like they hit the gas. They were just like, boom, baby, like smut. And then like it would stop. And I'd just be like, what just happened? So it was like a little jarring. Like, that's a good word to describe it. Like, it was just a little crazy. So I think if it was like meshed a little bit better with the plot, it would be cool. I am going to continue this series. It's not going to be something that I do immediately, but I do think it would be interesting to read this same story from Hades' point of view. I read the excerpt in the back, and I actually was a little more interested in his POV than Persephone. So maybe Persephone as a main character just annoys me. I don't know.
In this book.
Oh yeah, in this book. The real Persephone, real Hades, my friends. You know, I love them. I stand them. The next buddy read that I did or tried to do was with Rachel and Casey. Rachel from Let Me in the Library and Casey from Casey Camry's. You know, we wanted to buddy read this together, and then, you know, we started reading it, and then suddenly I was done with the book. Do with that what you will, but this is a 5-star for me, The Poppy War. You guys have seen this all over the internet. I know everybody is scared to pick up this book because you're like, ooh, the heartache, ooh, the tears, ooh, da-da-da-da. And let me tell you, this is is a heartbreaking story. Like, stuff in this happens based off of real events, and just kind of like the brutality, the real aspect of a war, and like a young woman having to go through that, like train to be in an army and like go battle in a war. That was crazy. It was like literally a crazy ride. But I really love this book, and I don't know, I thought it was so good, and I have these questions about it. I'm like, is our main character, like, is she good? Get you thinking. And I've heard that this one was sad for sure, but I've heard that the second one, Dragon Republic, is, yeah, I gotta prepare for that. But this was definitely a 5-star, and I highly recommend if you are looking for a fantasy like this. It wasn't like heavy fantasy, but it does have fantasy aspects in it. So I did read Heartstopper volume 1 through 3 last month. I did it for a vlog that I will link up in the cards, but basically, you know, we dressed up as different cliques in high school, and I read this for my soft girl athletic vibe. But basically, Heartstopper follows 2 young guys who are in an all-boys school. One of them is openly, outwardly gay, and the other one is just like a jock dude who doesn't really know, you know? They end up becoming friends, and then there may be a little bit of romance in there. I was squealing. It's a 5-star, obviously. Volumes 1, 2, and 3, okay? Also, I'm really glad that I read this because I am participating in the Alice Oseman read-along. That is going to be linked down below if you guys want to join that with us. But basically, just reading all of Alice Oseman stuff. And the world of Heartstopper is so just like fun to be in. I love that it's like kind of lighthearted, you know, it's got this romance aspect, but there are also other parts where I believe Charlie has to deal with anxiety, low-key body image issues, so it's just like very sweet, and I like how it's dealing with real life issues, especially in high school. You know, I think it's important to have stuff like this out there that is relatable. So yeah, really love this. If you guys haven't read this, you can read it for free on Webtoon. But I highly recommend buying these because it's just so cute. I was squealing. I might read it again.
It is really cute. I'm so glad you read that. So I also was behind, and I read, this was actually the April book for this was the April book for the Sugar and Spice book club, and I was planning on reading it in April to talk about it in May, but then I was like, oh, you know, I'll talk about it in time for the discussion in May. I missed that, but I still read the book. You know, I'm supporting. So this book, I'm giving it 4 stars because y'all know how much I love The Hating Game, but it is like not a completely different vibe, but like this is a slow burn, y'all. Mm-hmm. Like when I say, I've already ranted about this, but this is the definition of a slow burn. It follows Ruthie, who lives in a retirement villa and meets this cute guy, and obviously shenanigans ensue. But when I say once the shenanigans are ensued, it is just
on like Donkey Kong.
Like, it's just the tension. Like, oh my gosh, she really knows how to create some characters and have you just really stuck there for their whole journey. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling y'all, it's a slow burn. So prepare that. If you walk into this and you don't know it's a slow burn,
that's what it is.
I don't know what to tell you because I've said it multiple
20,000 times.
So yeah, 4 stars, really cute, loved.
I ended up reading the final book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. This was for a Daughter of Smoke and Bone read-along, which I've been doing the past couple months, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, this book was pretty slow. It's the thickest of the 3. I had really high hopes for it, like wrapping up the end of this series, and it didn't quite do it for me. I ended up giving this a 3.5 stars, and that's just for like a couple of things. You know, one, like it was a lot of descriptive info dumpy plot stuff, and like we really just wanted to see the resolution of the main conflict. Like that's what we wanted to see. So, you know, having to kind of trudge through that, I was kind of like, all right, I can forgive this, like if we can get through it. So, you know, getting through it. But then there's also like 80% through a whole nother plot point introduced, and at the end of the book it's not resolved. Like it's like a to be continued situation, but the trilogy is completed. There will not be another book. So that was kind of weird to me, that writing style. I was just kind of like, this is...
And what's this right here?
This is a companion novel. These are 2 of the side characters.
So this is the 3rd book.
This one is the third book, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, I guess because my expectations were so high, it like wasn't quite met, and that's on me. But I just, you know, had been enjoying this series so much, and I was really excited to kind of see the conclusion. Not to leave off on a negative, I do want to say that the characters in this book are really well done. Like the found family trope, like I was rooting for every single one of these characters. And then, you know, the love, not like the main love interest, but like the love between like the two side characters and like Akiva's sister and her love interest. Like I was really rooting for that. I really loved that. But yeah, I did just think that the resolution of the conflict, the main conflict that we had been through 2 books to like get to, that was so sudden and easy. And then this second plot point just kind of came out of nowhere, and then it wasn't resolved. So that I just left a bad taste in my mouth because I was like, what's happening right now? But that might just be, you know, Laini Taylor's style. I'm not sure.
Maybe she's got another book coming.
Who knows, you know? Anyway, it was just kind of a letdown. I rated it a 3.5. Do with that what you will. The first 2 books, I really enjoyed the second one, which is uncommon for trilogies. Like usually the second book's not as good, but you know, do with that what you will.
So for me to close out, I did a buddy read with Plots with Jesse, and we read Daisy Jones and the Six. And y'all, this is my new favorite book. I read it on audio. I started it physically, and then someone was like, you should really, actually a lot of people, Noelle was like, you need to read this on audio. Everyone said it, you should read on audio, and it was the best audiobook I've ever experienced. It was my first time ever having an ensemble cast, and the cast was star-studded.
I love an ensemble cast in an audiobook. God, that's so good.
It had the guy from Miss Congeniality.
It did?
The dude that Sandra liked on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
He's like famous.
It was so good, and it's just making me really excited for the TV show to come out, which is odd for me to say because I usually don't follow up with adaptions, you know? But if you don't know, it follows the rise and fall of this band here, and it's kind of written in like interview format. So you're following along with the documentary. And that is Daisy Jones and the Six. 5 stars.
Yeah, I was like, you rated it 5 stars?
5 stars. New favorite. Yeah. Recommend. I recommend all my books. I had a good reading month.
The next book I read was Daughter of the Pirate King. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. It's like a YA pirate adventure book. It's really cool, really good, but I also love pirates, so I might be a little biased. Take that into consideration when you're looking at this book. So it's basically about our main character who is the daughter of the Pirate King, and she gets captured by a like other group of pirates that's kind of like trying to rebel against the Pirate King. And it's kind of all about her being on this ship and developing a relationship with one of the head like pirates of the ship, and kind of like her plan, you know, like what is she gonna do, how is she gonna get out, that kind of thing, and get back to her dad. I had a good time with it, and yeah, rated it 4 stars. Highly recommend if you're into pirate books and like pirate romances, even though it wasn't like super steam because it was YA, but it was pretty good for YA. I liked it. Okay guys, so now on to the final 2 books of this wrap up. These are my 2 favorite books from the month. So let's talk about The Kingdom of Copper. So I have this book physically, but I listened to it on audio because this is a true, like I said this about City of Brass, but this is a true Arabian like tale. And honestly, I think audio is the way that it's supposed to be taken in, just because it is a true story. Like it is an epic adventure, and it's got betrayal and love and these spicy characters, and it is just so much freaking fun, guys. I love this book. I gave it a 5 stars, and I definitely recommend if you guys are looking for kind of like this just a fantasy world to really get into. Okay. All right, so anyway, I am looking forward to the 3rd book in this series, The Empire of Gold, because I need to see my man. And I'm not gonna say any names because there are many men in here that are just knockouts. Okay, they're all like but I need to see my man, okay? And if I don't see my man, I'm gonna go a little crazy. I'm gonna go a little cuckoo. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. But I do really love the plot twist, the betrayals, y'all. You really feel it. Like, you really feel it.
Yeah, I don't see Christine for days when she's reading these books.
It's just so good, and it's just so good on audio. Like, if you can really take it in via audio, please do. And it will help you understand how names are pronounced and stuff like that. So if you do read it physically, you'll know this is how it's pronounced. All right, and then last but not least, y'all know that I'm doing the Cruel Prince read along with my friend Nicole Lee from Bonbon Reads. We're having a great time with this series, and we read The Wicked King this month. And y'all, okay, Kingdom of Copper was good. It was a 5-star. It was great, actually. I can't even call it good. Like, that was a fantastic book. This was also a fantastic book. Don't talk to me about fantasy until you read the Cruel Prince freaking trilogy, and that's on that, okay? This woman, Holly Black, this is a tiny rant, y'all, I promise you, and then we're done, okay? But Holly Black is a freaking iconic genius, okay? There is text in here. And I truly think if you don't like this series, I truly think you're not understanding what you're reading. And I'm not saying that to be a big old B. I'm not saying that to be me. I'm just saying there are things underneath the text that like go on in this book that are just high level stuff. And it is so like the actual text is not that hard to understand. Like this is a fairly simple fantasy world. But like the way that she takes these characters in and out of all their situations, it is just like so high level. Like the amount of planning and thinking is just crazy to me. So this was spectacular. I really love this book because we got into the different kingdoms in this world. So it wasn't just like the one kingdom that they start out in, but like there's like the undersea kingdom and then like the human world we see a little bit more of and kind of that thing. And we just see the relationship between our two lovebirds, Carden and Jude. We see that a little more clearly and kind of understand that a little more clearly. At least for me, I was like very clear on how they could be enemies to lovers and like be together, even though they literally hate each other. So I definitely encourage you, if you read this and you hated it the first time, take another look at it, okay? Because there's definitely things in here that you may have missed. We also had a live show for this, so if you guys want to hear more about our discussion, more about our kind of like in-depth thoughts about what we were reading, you guys can see that up in the cards above. But y'all, I gave us a 5-star. I think I already said it, but
you said it a few times.
But yeah, guys, I'm having a good time with this trilogy. And honestly, at the end of this one, I was like, I cannot stop. You know, I must go on.
Well, I'm glad you loved it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not high level fantasy. So if you're looking for just like a kind of intro to fantasy, I think that would be a really good option. It's a little YA guy for you. But anyway.
But we did want to say we read some things and we liked, I think I had a pretty good reading month.
Yeah, I think you had probably a better reading month than me. Just because I had a couple of fantasies in there that I was like, what am I reading?
Yeah, I told you to DNF, but you were like, for J-Law. All right, so that sums up our May wrap up. We're really excited. We had some good reads, not so good reads. And if you liked any of these books, let us know what you're reading. Put any of your thoughts down in the comments.
If you guys have any Hades and Persephone like retellings that you want to drop down in the comments, I read quite a few of them, but you know, I would love new ones. So please,
our collection
let me know.
Be updated.
The Neon Gods, I'm going to continue to next.
Soon.
Yeah, like that's gonna be my next one. So yes, and I'll let you guys know.
Nice. Actually, if you guys have any books that have to do with like
music?
Baking, I would like that. Wink, wink. I'm not winking.
Were your eyes closed?
Yeah, I was like, I'm so tired.
What about Check Please? I thought that was a graphic novel and he bakes.
Yeah, I have some. I'm just saying if they have any, put it in the comments along with your Hades and Persephone recommendations. And also, if you want to see more of this duo here, I say hit the subscribe and the notification bell thingy.
Ding, 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 ding.
So you'll know when the video is here. Also, a thumbs up would do. I threw up a thumbs up because I just, subconsciously. What is it? Subconsciously?
You want to be pals.
Subliminally. That's the word.
Yeah.
You want to like us, right? Anyway, again, thank you guys for watching.
This is the beginning
of the end. What? No, I can't do that.
One time.
No.
Quick story time, really quick. And you guys can click off if you want, but if you want to know a story. Me and Monique were in a play our senior year of college, and we were the same character. Not going to explain any more of that. If you want to know more about that, comment down below.
Yes.
And on that note, see you later.